France's government has imploded. Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu has resigned after less than a month in power, admitting that the political conditions to govern no longer exist. His exit, accepted by President Emmanuel Macron, has triggered a wave of fury across France, from markets to opposition benches.
This Monday morning, the conditions were no longer met for me to perform the duties of Prime Minister and allow the government to go before the National Assembly tomorrow.
Lecornu's parting words painted a bleak picture. A parliament paralyzed by ego and division, with every faction demanding absolute control. It was an extraordinary confession. France, he said, has become ungovernable.
Political parties continue to adopt a stance as if they all had an absolute majority in the National Assembly. Each political party wants the other party to adopt its entire program. There are many red lines drawn by so many. There are rarely green lines.
From the right, Marine Le Pen wasted no time striking. Calling Lecornu's exit a measure of wisdom, she demanded that Macron dissolve parliament and return power to the people. Le Pen declared, "The farce has gone on long enough," accusing the president of irrationally resisting France's institutions.
A measure of wisdom, there you have it. So that settles the question of censure, and now it poses a question to the President of the Republic. Can he continue to resist the dissolution? Are you calling on him to speak today, Emmanuel Macron? It's not his word that interests me, it's his decision. I'm calling on him to dissolve the National Assembly because we are at the end of the road, and there is no solution. There won't be any tomorrow, and consequently, the only wise decision in these circumstances, and provided for by the Constitution of the Fifth Republic, is to return to the polls and for the French to give direction to the country.
And from the opposite flank came Jean-Luc Mélenchon at a fiery La France Insoumise press conference. The veteran leftist blamed Macron directly for what he called the origin of chaos. He accused the president of destroying France's democracy by calling early elections he refused to take responsibility for, and even raised the prospect of removing the president altogether.
This situation is the symptom of the deadlock into which the Fifth Republic inevitably plunges, as soon as there is a contradiction between the legitimacy of the presidential election and that of the legislative elections. Additionally, there is the inability of the President of the Republic to manage such a situation. This results in confusion in the minds of people, within institutions, among economic actors, and among political decision-makers, which worsens the situation. Therefore, to respond to this moment, we must tackle the heart of the problem head-on, which is to say, the President of the Republic and his legitimacy to continue making decisions in such circumstances. He is the origin of the chaos because he called early legislative elections he did not want to assume the result of. And since that time, the Republic, the democracy, has been distorted.
With Le Pen on the right and Mélenchon on the left, Macron now faces revolt from every side. One calls for dissolution, the other for removal. Both accuse him of being the source of chaos in France's collapsing Fifth Republic.
The crisis is unprecedented in France's modern republic, and it puts Macron in a terrible bind. Since the French leader dissolved Parliament's powerful lower house in June of 2024, triggering fresh legislative elections, his governments have had no stable majority, and they've collapsed one after the other. Macron is now running out of options. As a close ally of the president, the 39-year-old Lecornu had been seen as perhaps being Macron's last best bet at building consensus in the bitterly divided parliament behind important issues for France. Foremost amongst those is the government budget for next year. All of that is in turmoil now.
Outside, the anger turned physical. Families of French activists detained by Israel rallied near the Prime Minister's office, chanting, "Israel assassin, Macron accomplice." They accused the government of moral paralysis, another sign of a presidency losing grip on both politics and principle.
We wrote yesterday asking the Prime Minister, the President, to receive the families of our clients. We did not receive a response. We came today with the families to be received, and we were simply sent the police, the CRS, and the Brave M.
La France Insoumise MP Adrien Clouet joined the outrage, calling the government's silence pathetic and disgusting, accusing Macron of betraying French citizens detained abroad.
The attitude of the French government is pathetic. These people, who represent the honor of our France, find themselves in Israeli prisons without any reaction from the French government. Even worse, the families come here. They are not received. They are met by the Brave M and the police. It is unacceptable. It is truly disgusting.
The message from Paris is unmistakable. The Prime Minister has fallen. The right says dissolve. The left says remove. And the people say enough. France stands on the edge. And Emmanuel Macron faces the most serious challenge of his presidency.
The next step in this political drama isn't yet clear, but pressure is mounting on Macron to dissolve Parliament again. That could conceivably result in the far-right National Rally Party of Marine Le Pen taking power, enabling it to form the next government. But new elections could also result in another hung parliament and more instability. This much, however, is clear. With investors and markets rattled, the uncertainty is likely to hurt the French economy, that's the second largest in the EU, and France's efforts to rein in its soaring debts. As president, Macron can still function on the world stage, keeping France engaged in diplomatic efforts for the wars in Ukraine and Gaza, for example. But his authority at home is ebbing away. Macron has said that he won't resign, but the last phase of his presidency, till 2027, could be very rocky indeed.